Hello everyone and welcome back to Anything Joe's, a collaborative journey through the world of G.I. Joe. My name is Greg Engel.
And I'm Jaron Decker.
And we'll be your host today. Today on Anything Joe's, it's the issue that we've been building to for several weeks now. It's an issue that I'm extremely excited to talk about. It's G.I. Joe number 10. Let's just jump right into it because we have an awful lot of stuff to discuss in this one, as this is one of the first issues that legitimately introduces a lot of new characters and concepts that will live on through the G.I. Joe series, basically right until the end of the line. The cover to issue number 10 is, like most covers in the first year of G.I. Joe, exceptional. It displays Scarlet and Snake Eyes. Scarlet, who looks really happy, is they're running through a city. It has a gigantic billboard. It's like a little suburban area. It says, "Welcome to Springfield, a nice little town." And they're getting ready to turn the corner on this house, but we can see from the other side of the house that it's actually just like a kind of a mock like movie set. There's no actual house there. It's just one big front building. And there's two Cobra officers or troopers behind it with their guns at the ready. Really great POV used in this. Just an awesome setup in general, as they're basically going to get the drop on them. It shows that there's some more to this town than the sweet innocent look that comes with it. This is another cover that has got great coloring. It really has a lot of different color usage going on. The coloring itself really paints a picture of just like, what a beautiful sunny day, no clouds in the sky, everything's great. Right down to Scarlet's, smiling face where she just looks like she's so happy to be there. What's your takeaway on this cover?
My imagination is that Scarlet sees him and she's just so happy to get to go and kick him in the face.
Finally, somebody to kill.
No, I mean, it's exactly like you said. They use the colors really well on this. The red and yellows really catch your eye and make you look in. It's really cool. It's got a simplistic nature to it, but it does that very well and it executes completely.
Yeah, this cover is great at drawing the reader in and getting you to ask questions about the book that would only be answered by reading it. And is another great. This isn't a verbatim image of what is going to happen in the comic, but it is a scenario that sets up what's going to happen essentially, as we'll soon see. Okay, so let's dive into G.I. Joe number 10, a nice little town like ours. We open on the top of a large skyscraper. It looks like it's in Midtown Manhattan. Mission: verification and neutralization of suspected Cobra stronghold in Midtown Manhattan. Personnel breakdown: infiltration team, Snake Eyes, Scarlet, and Zap will secure all roof exits to prevent escape and or reinforcement of Cobra personnel. From far away, we see three images of three Joes that are kind of ducked down behind an air ventilation system. They're whispering to one another to kind of reinforce that the infiltration mission is en route, and they're, so far so good. This whole rooftop is like a classroom diagram of defensive doublethink. Those obvious video cameras in the vents are fakes. They all have blind spots, and those blind spots are lousy with mines and booby traps. Not anymore. Your friendly neighborhood demolitions expert has deactivated all the Cobra ordnance and rigged our own MAS in all their safe zones. Quick note at the bottom, the MAS stands for Mechanical Ambush, usually a claymore mine with a tripwire detonator. Not a military term that Larry uses a whole lot. Larry is known for using a lot of the same terminology over and over again, to the point to where, as a child, I would learn a lot of military jargon because it would continue to pop up. Willie Pete comes to mind right away. Willie Pete's like the white smoke that they pop for like an extraction. I had no idea what that was as a kid, but it would pop up so much that eventually I would start using it in my own. When I would play, I would start using those terms as well. Scarlet and Zap are talking. Good job, Zap. Now all we have to do is sit tight until the assault teams flush out the bad guys. Remember, Zap, in 2 minutes, we have to call Hawk on the radio for a status report and security check. The perspective shifts to the bottom of this gigantic building with another short note. Primary assault team: Hawk, Clutch, Short Fuse, Flash, and Rock and Roll will cover the street level from the cover of an electrical maintenance truck and use that specially armored and reinforced vehicle to initiate a combat assault of the building. So they're getting ready to take this bad boy down on all fronts. We see a small, unmarked vehicle sitting in front of the building. I don't like it, Hawk. I got a bad feeling about this operation. Cut me some slack, Clutch. You have a bad feeling about every operation. Yeah, well, Mrs. Steinberg didn't raise her son to be careless. Cut to the back of the van, where we see the rest of the team. Rock and Roll has got his arms crossed and is kind of chilling out. I sure don't envy the guys in the secondary assault team. They should be in position by now. Breaker, Stalker, and Grunt are due to break through into the basement from the sewer system in 5 minutes. Cut to that exact sewer system where we see them tromping through. Nice to see a return to form with Breaker's bubblegum. A true enthusiast of bubblegum if you're chewing and popping bubbles in the sewer system.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of those areas you don't want to be,
You don't want your mouth to be open under any context.
Yeah, I mean, you're just sitting there gnawing some really nasty smells.
All I can say is this stinks. Hey, where's the romantic in you? Remember the chase through the sewers of Paris and Les Mis? Parisian sewers may be romantic, but New York sewers plain stink. Now we finally get to the inside of the building where we cut to the upper floor. The Baroness, who we actually haven't seen in a little bit, is working on a computer. An extremely unusual looking Cobra officer who has a circle on his chest instead of a Cobra logo is approaching. Baroness, they're in troop. She cuts him off immediately. The salutation, never forget the salutation. And here we have our classic Nazi salute, still alive and well. Forgive me, Baroness, all hell mighty Cobra. All hell. Our sensors show intruders on the roof, street level, and basement. Baroness is lounging in her chair. She salutes while sitting. That seems counterproductive to how that is normally done.
I gotta say, I can see why they lose now. I mean, they have to, hey, there's people here, but no, first you have to go through your little Nazi salute.
That's right, they all get mowed down as they get into combat because they're trying to salute first.
We're not allowed to shoot yet, we had to salute.
Splendid, we shall deal first with the ones on the roof. She presses a nondescript red button on the console that she's working on. After all, they did drop in on us so unexpectedly. The rooftop opens up, and not only do the Joes themselves start falling, but everything that was on the top of the roof seems like a fake, or it's built in. The vent and the everything is just attached, but obviously goes nowhere. The roof is collapsing. Snake Eyes, the rope. Snake Eyes throws a rope as Scarlet shoots a crossbow bolt, and of course Snake Eyes, being the professional that he is, he loops the crossbow bolt. He grabs onto Scarlet. Scarlet swings her arm around Zap and hang tight, Snake Eyes, I've got Zap. Cobra officer pops up from the top of the roof looking down on him. That's right, hang on tight, your trip isn't over yet. He has a little mini axe and he cuts the rope and they continue their fall. They fall into a little metal box and they're kind of stunned from the impact. Some hands reach into the cell and quickly remove their weapons before they recover from the fall. As you command, Baroness. They reach in and grab Zap's bazooka for her starters. The metal door clangs shut, and they've been sealed up. Cut back to the outside of the building. Scarlet missed the radio check. The roof team's in trouble. Take us inside, Clutch. I'm going in the front door, Hawk, and I'm not knocking. The van barrels through the side of the wall of the building, and everybody comes piling out. Rock and Roll, Short Fuse, Flash, Clutch, Hawk, everybody. Move out, avoid the elevators, and watch for tripwires on the stairs. If those Cobras done something to Scarlet, they got a world of hurt coming to them. Cut to the other end of the building in the basement, where the three-person team looks like they've finally found an entry point. Yeesh, you're supposed to wait till the rubble stops falling when you blow a hole through a wall. No time, we got an infiltration team ambushed on the roof, and we've got to double time up 20 flights of stairs to relieve them. Meanwhile, back in the small metallic cell. I don't get it, Scarlet. If this is just a cell, why did the walls curve towards the ceiling? Streamlining, like in a boat, or prepare for separation and conversion? Scarlet punches a button with the literal punch sound effect as she uses one finger. What? Earthquake? No, we're rising. That's why the walls curve. We're inside an aircraft and it's taking off. The entire top of the building unleashes this gigantic square space pod looking thing with the VTOL capabilities. It pushes itself up and then out. They're getting away, Hawk, and they're taking Scarlet, Snake Eyes, and Zap with them. What are we going to do? What can we do? It's a bad draw of the cards, boys. Those three are on their own. In the Cobra aircraft, unfortunately, we don't have an in-flight movie for... I got to stop doing a Baroness accent. I just can't. Unfortunately, we don't have an in-flight movie for our passengers, but I'm sure we can provide them with some sort of entertainment. Gas, they're knocking us out for the trip. Much later, Scarlet starts to wake up. They're clearly in an actual holding jail cell facility type thing. Ground stable. They must have moved us to a cell and land somewhere. Who's this kid they got in here with? This small young kid with like a Beatles crop top haircut. Probably looks about, I don't know, 9 or 10 maybe. I might be misjudging that. The older I get, the harder it is to age, place things. And suddenly Scarlet starts having some crazy visions. There's like a pair of eyeballs in the air behind her. Why is Zap melting like a candle? What happened to the bars? My hand's turning into claws and bats. No, gargoyles. So she's kind of like having a freak out, basically. Cuts back and she shows that she's just clearly standing in her cell having an hallucination. Sure has been a lot easier to maintain security around here since Dr. Venom started drugging the prisoners with hallucinogens. They're so busy staring at things that ain't there, they don't have time to escape. I just hope Dr. Venom never sees fit to mess with our water supply. Less than 5 miles away. Now we see Cobra Commander's entered the scene. He's accompanied by Baroness. We see a gentleman that we will soon learn is the infamous Dr. Venom. And we also see a gigantic piece of technology, a vertical machine that has snake eyes strapped into it and is extremely well for his like feet are like bolted into place. His arms are bolted down. It has a helmet that slips over his eyes and head. And on the screen there's a small image of an apple.
I shall endeavor to explain this procedure as simply as possible, Cobra Commander. The electrodes attached to Snake Eye's head are recording his brainwave reaction to the visual image on the TV monitor. In this case, it is an apple. The computer will continue to flash thousands of images and record their corresponding brainwave signature until it has amassed a personalized vocabulary of the subject's thinking patterns reduced to digitalized.
What do we gain from this, Dr. Venom?
Very soon, our image vocabulary will be complete. Then we can reverse the process. The computer will be able to read the subject's thoughts, enhance them, and project them as a visual image on the TV monitor. By peering into Snake Eye's memory, we shall be able to ascertain the exact location of G.I. Joe headquarters.
I shall reserve judgment until I see results. You would be well advised to remember that your subject, Snake Eyes, is extremely dangerous in any condition. I shall be in my bunker. Inform me when you have something positive.
As you wish, Cobra Commander.
Dr. Venom is the first technical new character that we've gotten in quite a while. Dr. Venom has a long-reaching legacy, but is not in the books for a significant amount of time, although he does make multiple returns. As a matter of fact, Jaren, if you'll cast your mind back to the very first video that we made on our YouTube channel, there's a recap episode that's talking about when the book comes back from its long hiatus. And Dr. Venom is one of the first things that's in that book because he's taken over their computer systems. So Dr. Venom is like a long-reaching character. Is a personal favorite of mine, both now and as a young man. I thought Dr. Venom was a very cool character. Is like a no frills, like not even a mad scientist because he's like legitimately has access to good technology. Is a smart dude for Cobra. That, much like Quinn, was created because the roster was so small initially, but I think became kind of a runaway favorite and got a lot more use as a result.
If you look at him, you just see, he's a scientist. He's got a lab coat on.
He's not flamboyant at all, which I think makes the reality of how kind of sinister he is or how serious he takes what he does like a very real thing. Back in Scarlet and Zap's cell, the hallucinations grow worse. Scarlet is like having a Neo from the Matrix moment, where she's like only there from the nose up, and she can't speak. There's snakes and spiders crawling around her. Anybody thirsty in here? Cut to Zap, who's having a vision that he's turned into a turtle and he's stuck on his shell. The sun beating down so hot. Somebody help me. Turn me over. Turn you over. You'll feel a lot better after you have some nice cool water. We see that some guards are bringing them 2 pieces of bread and a little metal canister with water in it. And we see the young boy turn around, who's also having crazy hallucinations of snakes and like clowns or Jack-in-the-Boxes. Water. And some tasty stale bread, too, but the water is especially nice. Scarlet reaches her hand for the water. Thirsty water, the sun too hot. Water. The young kid, no, don't drink it. Why? The bad dreams are in the water. But I'm so thirsty. The young kid picks up the can and starts to hold it towards the light bulb that descends from the ceiling. Heat. Heat will make the water safe. The light bulb. Cut back to Dr. Venom's lab.
There! Now it is time to see what we can pick up from your memory, Mr. Snake Eyes. Think of the location of the G.I. Joe headquarters.
POV changes to the output monitor on the Brainwave Scanner, and we're starting to see images of Snake Eyes past.
You are making a pathetic attempt to jam the computer by concentrating on trivial memories from your youth. The gas station you worked in as a teenager?
Some random customer, you finished that lube job yet? What a great memory, Snake Eyes. Snake Eyes, one of Snake Eyes' favorite memories, the time he successfully did a lube job at his gas station job. We don't talk a lot about the fact that Snake Eyes worked at a gas station for a while.
That's what really gave him all of the training that he needed.
That's where he learned to become a ninja. I guess the name of this place is Taxido. I think that's what's in Texaco? I guess it's a parody of that. So anyway, Snake Eyes, he's trying to probe him for memories, and Snake Eyes is blocking those memories with like trivial memories.
Some sort of adolescent courtship ritual?
Cut to the senior prom. There's a young woman. It's like, golly, you look terrific in a tux. Another great memory of the time that Snake Eyes got laid at senior prom. Third image.
You can't suppress the information for long. What's this? A military mission? Is that a Middle Eastern desert in the background?
Random soldier on this plane as they're in their air talking. This'll be a piece of cake. We'll be in and out in a matter of... Suddenly, the plane lights up. The fuel line is leaking. Gas is spraying on the manifold. It's gonna... Whoosh, you see the whole plane go up. This is the first memory that actually is important to the history of Snake Eyes, and it's worth mentioning that it's in the year of a G.I. Joe Snake Eyes Origins movie that doesn't touch on any of this stuff. There was a time where we didn't know anything about Snake Eyes. The only thing we've learned about Snake Eyes in the first year, as the first year is coming to a close, is that his face is disfigured. So this is the first time we get a little bit of an insight into what makes Snake Eyes Snake Eyes, essentially. And this particular event will be further fleshed out much later on in the line, as this is the accident that partially leads to his disfigurement, as well as him being mute.
Very clever, Mr. Snake Eyes. You are dredging up all your painful memories because you think they will form a more formidable block against thinking about G.I. Joe headquarters. But it matters not to me how many times you relive the helicopter crash that disfigured you. I shall keep repeating my question, and I assure you, I shall not grow tired before you do.
So, that statement makes me think that he didn't get laid at prom, and he didn't finish the lube job. These are bad memories.
He was a complete... You know what? That's a great point. He's constantly tormented about his ineffectiveness with the ladies and his inability to do minor car maintenance.
Those three are on the same level.
You know what? I have similar traumatic memories that define me as an adult also. Elsewhere, back in the jail cell, the water's safe now. Actually, the original dose of whatever drug they gave you should have worn off by now. That's why they slipped you more in the water cup. How did you figure out that trick with the light bulb? I remembered reading about how certain drugs lose their potency when exposed to heat. Maybe it was in Scientific American. Anyway, I tried it and it worked. Listen, the guards are lax here because they think everybody's zonked out. Once you're completely recovered, you can help me break out of here. I've been planning this for weeks, but I had to wait until they put somebody else in the cell with me. What do you think, Zap? I think the kid's got the only game in town. Let's run with it. But one thing I gotta know first, kid. Where are we? Springfield. It used to be a nice little town. Alright, so let's take a second here and talk about this kid. As most readers of G.I. Joe know, this young man is Billy. Billy is much younger than the Billy that we know and love later on in the run. And for the sake of understanding where we're going and where we've come from that we speak with the clairvoyance of the entire run of this in our windshield or in our rear view. Billy is Cobra Commander's son. Now, I can say with almost 100% factual knowledge that Larry didn't write Billy or didn't create Billy for this issue with the intent of him being Cobra Commander's son. And Billy has a long-standing arc in the rest of this run, although it will be a little bit before we really see that potential start to open up. Billy won't be back for a while, but it's worth noting that it all started here. And it's also great to analyze this from the perspective of having read it all. Why is Billy here? Why is Cobra Commander's son locked up in a jail cell being drugged? And I guess the concept kind of plays into what we're seeing right here is that he seems to be rebelling against what's going on in this Cobra-occupied secret town. And also, when you look back on this, and this is exhibited multiple times throughout the G.I. Joe series, Cobra Commander is such a bad guy. He would lock his own son up and drug him just because he's not falling in line, which I think is pretty wild. It's also worth mentioning that this is the first time, not the first time Springfield has been mentioned, but the first time that we have the actualized reality that Springfield is in fact a secret town that Cobra has set up in and is operating out of. Springfield came up in issue 5 as a common, just a throwaway term where all the generals are waiting for the band to proceed, and the band that shows up, which is actually Cobra officers in disguise, is from Springfield, to which the general asks, well, there's a Springfield in which Springfield? There's a Springfield in every town. From that concept is born Springfield, the secret Cobra base. Again, and this is not a one-issue location. Springfield will come back time and time again because it's like this perfect town with a dark secret, almost like you're reading a Stephen King novel. Everything looks great on the front, but just about everybody in the town is rotten, as some kind of undercover agent for Cobra. And as you see more and more of Springfield, you learn that it's not just one secret little base for Dr. Venom, just the whole town is just sewed from top to bottom with secrets and, Cobra infantry and whatnot.
When we did our first YouTube video with the re-release of the comics, didn't that also have Springfield in it?
Yes, probably. It was either Springfield or Braca Beach, which is another high-profile area because Braca is a commonly used term that, it's like an anagram for Cobra, much like Arbco, which is another one that shows up a lot. So yeah, there's always something like this. Springfield is not around forever, because the secret will be uncovered at a certain point. And I think that's when it shifts to Braca Beach or similar locations. Back to Dr. Venom's lab, where we see Snake Eyes strapped into the Brainwave Scanner still.
Fascinating! Utterly fascinating! You've had an extraordinary life, Mr. Snake Eyes. Well-traveled too. Berlin, Cuba, Cyprus, Chile, Laos, Cambodia. And what's this? The last helicopter out of Saigon? Let us return to the main issue. G.I. Joe headquarters. Location. Defenses. Entry codes.
We see the monitor shift as a military plane is flying out of Saigon, and suddenly there's a big news article that pops up.
Personal tragedy, Mr. Snake Eyes. You are groping desperately now.
The news article reads in large font, "Family killed in flaming car wreck." So here's yet another clue to the origin of Snake Eyes, that his family was killed at some point in a car wreck. Much more to come on that later.
Ah, now we are getting somewhere. It is the one called Clutch, and he is driving the G.I. Joe vehicle known as the Vamp. The missile launcher and the Mobat tank, yes, but where? This is an ordinary motor pool. You're a highly motivated and indoctrinated individual, Mr. Snake Eyes. But even you cannot conceal the truth from me forever.
Well, that's obviously a little in-joke because we all know that the Fort Wadsworth Motor Pool is a front for the G.I. Joe base. So we, the reader, are supposed to be getting a little nervous about how close the Brainwave Scanner is coming to unveil the truth of the G.I. Joe headquarters. Meanwhile, Billy is ranting and raving in his cell, meeting tonight the anti-Cobra underground, Of course I'll be there. Where is the meeting? That place again. Oh, all right. The Cobra officers that are observing him on their computer panel take note of Billy's rant. That kid in cell 6 is babbling about an anti-Cobra meeting. Take him out to Dr. Venom's lab for deep interrogation. They open the cell and 2 guards come in armed. Let's go, kid. We heard your little speech over the hidden microphone, so come along nice and quiet. Yeah, I wouldn't want to wake your pals. Scarlet jumps up and kicks that dude in the face. That's okay, we were getting up anyway. Zap beans the other guy over the head with his dinner plate. Yeah, why don't you stay for breakfast? Here's the tray. Back to the cell, the one guard that didn't go. Hey, what's going on in there? How long does it take to drag a little kid out of a cell? And suddenly 2 Cobra troopers walk by with Billy. Oh, there you are. Get him to Dr. Venom's right away. The good doctor is still working on that masked one. And don't forget to stop at the locker room and change into your civvies before you go above ground. Obviously, the 2 guards that are in disguise are Clutch and Scarlet. Good of them to put Scarlet on the outside of that guy's field of vision since she is female. And that probably would have looked weird. Not even going to bring up the fact that this Cobra officer that just sent those 2 guys in there just decided to not watch the security footage while they were in there. He just switched over to a soap opera or something. Could have shut this whole thing down. Billy is whispering to Clutch and Scarlet. He's right. We have to find some civilian clothes for you. Cobra uniforms are taboo in the streets of Springfield. I'm in a real hurry to get to Dr. Venom's place if that's where they've got Snake Eyes. Can you get us a car? You'd have to hotwire one. No problem.
You hurt yourself needlessly, Mr. Snake Eyes. You must, of necessity, use a more excruciating memory each time you wish to block out the images I wish to see. Ah, there! A fleeting glimpse of the interior of G.I. Joe headquarters. A training area?
A verbatim shot from issue number 1 where we saw all of the things, their big training room where their submersion tank is. This is that's exactly what it looked like. They have the barriers and all the things to shoot. The screen changes again.
How quickly you block the image with painful memories. Soon, the pain and emotional torment will become totally unbearable. Then you shall have your release by telling me what I want to know.
Back up front on the streets of Springfield, it looks like they got that car that they wanted, and they're starting to drive around. I don't believe it. This whole town is a Cobra front. It looks so ordinary. That's the way it used to be around here. Real ordinary. Until the soap people came to town. Soap people? Yeah, it was one of those pyramid schemes. They got you to sell household cleaning products for extra money and encouraged you to get others involved. Weekly sales meetings soon escalated into leadership indoctrination, and pretty soon the ball was rolling beyond control. They were very convincing. They made it seem un-American not to want to get involved. Anybody who resisted was boycotted by the rest, and by that time the rest was the majority. Persistent resistors simply disappeared, and kids started turning in their parents. They started building secret back rooms into all the buildings and lots of underground complexes. Most of the big revolving signs have radar dishes built into them. The garages became depots for Cobra tanks. The pizza parlor is a storeroom for poison gas. So,
I don't know if I'd eat that pizza.
I mean, I've had DiGiorno's. I don't care. This episode is sponsored by Domino's. Don't eat that crappy at-home pizza. It's made with poison gas.
It's not DiGiorno, it's delivery.
It's not DiGiorno's, it's poison. So, nice one-page recap that quickly explains how could a regular small town suddenly get turned into a Cobra hotspot. And this is not something that I've thought about for a while, but this is an interesting take. The concept of the pyramid scheme in Cobra this is not the first time that we'll hear. Well, it is the first time we'll hear about it. It's not the last time we'll hear about it, as Cobra Commander is got a notorious origin story that kind of revolves around concepts similar to this. But the idea that he could implant an idea, build it up, and then the town kind of takes over for him, and then the Cobra people suddenly outnumber the normies. Is very interesting. This is the only time you really see anything like this where they're like soap people. I had forgotten about that.
I mean, everyone's been a part of a pyramid scheme at some point, right?
Sure, I'm part of one right now. This podcast is, in fact, a pyramid scheme. Tell your friends. Invest.
You recruited me into collecting G.I. Joe, and now we're trying to recruit others.
That's right. Invest now. Tell your friends. I'll teach you how to make lots of money, just like we do. Wink. The car pulls into Video World, an arcade. Pull in over here. That video parlor is Dr. Venom's headquarters. A door in the back of the arcade leads to Venom's lab in the basement. We'll just have to brazen it out and walk in. No, you're going to stay put. This is a job for me and Scarlett. No way. 2 grown-ups walking into that place are going to stick out like sore thumbs. I'm your only ticket inside. What can I say, kid? You haven't been wrong yet. Jaren, you're a young man, which I despise.
Yep.
Do you remember arcades?
The only experience I have is just recently with them coming back.
Yeah.
With like Rec Bar.
That makes me mad, I'll be frank. We used to have a arcade in my very, very small town. A not unlike Springfield-esque town. And we had 2 technically. One was in our mall, but it came a little later. So the arcade that we had was kind of like a grease pit. It attracted the worst type of people. And it was like a real crummy hangout. And I don't remember why I was in this arcade, but as a young kid, I went in there with either my brother or my dad for something. And they had Dragon's Lair in this arcade. And if you're not familiar with Dragon's Lair, first of all, you got to go check it out. I can't imagine anybody that isn't at least aware of Dragon's Lair. It's a fully animated Don Bluth video game where the entire game is a cartoon and you would make decisions with the controller. And it was incredibly unforgiving. I can't even say it's a good video game because the interactivity is so minimal, but the animation was so good. The story was so cool. You would feel compelled to play it. I still, to this day, am like, probably have it on dozens of consoles. I've played it so many times. Had it on DVD at one point when it came out. Anyway, this arcade had Dragon's Lair, and that was the first time I'd seen it, and I was fascinated with it. And I have a very specific memory to this day where every time we would drive by this arcade, which was in on our main street, I would always be like, Mom, can we stop and go in there? I want to play Dragon's Lair. And she'd always be like, no, they're doing drugs or selling drugs in there, which might not have even been true. My mom was notorious. My mom was very classic little mom. Like, we go scan our Halloween candy at the X-ray machine for razor blades. Like, now as an adult, you're like, oh my gosh, I wish somebody would put drugs in my Halloween candy. Anyway, so she'd be like, no, they're selling drugs in there, doing drugs in there. And I'd always be like, well, Mom, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna buy and or take drugs. But now as an adult, I would love to take some drugs and play Dragon's Lair. Sorry, Mom.
You don't need drugs. All the money goes to G.I. Joe. That's a worse addiction.
So here are the kids and the arcade is full. There's a gigantic like laser cannon game that this kid is rotating around in the center and playing and shooting and stuff. It is hard for me to explain why that arcade game is shooting an actual laser out into space. It seems very destructive. And then we see a lot of generic arcade games like Starfighter, Grand Prix, Red Baron. Here's an arcade game called Stunts. Here's an arcade game called Spaceman. The one that their word balloon is interrupting. It ends with RTA2. I'm wondering, like, Sparta 2? I don't know. Anyway,
It's Dota 2, just very early.
Amazing. Are you telling me that every kid in this place is Cobra indoctrinated? Some of them are even junior officers. Let's just saunter through nice and easy like. Immediately, every kid in the joint's like, look at these squares. Those 2 adults, I've never seen them in town before, but I've seen the kid. He's a traitor. Suddenly, the arcade game gun is maybe not just a game after all, as it swivels around. That gun is swiveling towards us. It's just a game, a toy. Wrong. Nothing in here is a toy. Back to the basement. Dr. Venom is still observing the Brainwave Scanner results.
Yes, now we are making real progress.
You called for me, Dr. Venom? A trooper approaches him.
Yes, I shall require your assistance for the final phases of this interrogation session. The subject is liable to become quite difficult.
Suddenly, Hawk pops up on screen.
Excellent! His resistance is almost totally broken down. That is Colonel Hawk himself, the field commander of the G.I. Joe team, and an image that the subject has been repressing intensely.
Dr. Venom, the subject's vital signs are fluctuating. Heartbeat and respiration becoming extremely erratic.
Eh?
He's nearly dead.
Intolerable! We're so close to our goal! Cobra Commander will not be pleased.
Suddenly, the alarm speaker system goes off. Intruder alert! Intruder alert!
Security has been breached in the arcade! Bring your weapon and follow me!
Dr. Venom and this officer storm out into the stairs as the Brainwave Scanner continues to play on. And so, my students of the Hidden Way, I shall impart to you the most well-kept secret technique handed down from ninja to ninja through countless generations. The way of the inner anvil, whereby you may still your breath and heartbeat to the semblance of death itself. Not the last time you'll see the inner anvil as well, as it is, obviously the concept here is Snake Eyes is faking it, so to make it look like he's dead.
Man, it's a good thing they're not watching right now.
Yeah, right. It's a good thing they just conveniently got called away. Our Joes in the arcade have engaged as the laser gun takes its first shot, and then they dive out of the way. Zap 'em, Rollo. Fry the outsiders. I'll get them. Ain't I the champ around this arcade? What else does a guy? I mean, if your name is Rollo, and you're sitting here, I can't do a voice that's. Hello, it's me, Rollo. Yeah, that's a live laser gun. Split up and try to flank him. Venom has a little eye slot on the door that he opens up and looks outside.
Bah! I needn't have bothered. The junior officers have this situation under control.
Dr. Venom, they're just kids. Shouldn't we...
They are Cobra junior officers. They must be allowed responsibility. Besides, our work is more important.
They come back and see that Snake Eyes is flatlined on the system.
What? He's dead! All my work has been for naught! Help me unstrap this lout. We'll start on the girl next, as soon as our junior officers round up those 3 upstairs.
Snake Eyes springs into action, hits that guard, knocks him out. Ugh. Dr. Venom is shocked, and then Snake Eyes spins around with the gun that he swiped from the officer, clocks him in the face, knocks him out cold. No mention of Snake Eyes' disfigured face as he puts his mask back on. They just seem like that's just another day. No big deal for these guys. They see disfigured faces all the time. So Snake Eyes takes his gun, he's got his mask, he starts heading up the stairs. We're cornered, there's no way out. Yeah, Snake Eyes kicks that door in like it ain't no thing. Snake Eyes, another one, eh? Oh, sorry, it's Rollo speaking. Another one, eh? Makes no difference, I can knock them out fast as I can knock down Vaders. Starts shooting with the laser gun. Snake Eyes takes cover and fires back with his machine gun. Shoots at the fuse box and takes it out instead of just killing Rollo, which is what I would have done.
Nah, Rollo needs to stick around because I need to hear you voice him.
Right. Wait till issue 155 where it's revealed that Rollo is actually Cobra Commander all this time. Good shooting, Snake Eyes. You knocked out the electrical fuse box. Let's go. That laser can't work without any power. Stop them. They must not be allowed to escape. Go to the intersection and hang a sharp right. That'll put us on the road to the airfield. Airfield? How's about the highway out of town? Roadblocks are up by now. The only way out is up. You're pretty good, kid. Come see me when you're 18 and we'll have a job for you. The irony in that statement, of course, is that Billy will later on go on to join the G.I. Joe team at a very young age. So they hightail it to the Springfield Municipal Airport. Wouldn't they clamp a security lid on the airport also? No, they always play it safe. Close off the perimeters at the outskirts of town and sweep inwards. They don't want to alarm any casual travelers just passing through. Pull over by the hangar, Zap. Do you see what I see? It's the flying penthouse that brought us here. Well, now it can darn well take us out. Snake Eyes, subdue those Cobra creeps while I find some rope. No need to show Snake Eyes doing that, as we won't even question how effortlessly he could probably do that. These guys are all tied up. That should hold them. Let's get this Cobra pilot on board and point him towards home. Come on, kid. Get on the plane. Cobra could close this joint down any minute. No, I got you here so you could get away, but I have to stay. My family is here, hiding underground and working against Cobra. I got caught while scrounging for supplies. I've got to get back to them. Besides, this is my home. I just can't run away. Well, you know what I mean. Yeah, we know. Look, we'll come back with help for you as soon as possible. Just hang in there, huh? All right, Mr. Cobra Pilot, point this rig towards New York City and let's get moving. New York? You're joking. Do you have any idea where you are? You're in... Well, of course you don't know where you are. You were unconscious when you were flown in. Well, you ain't getting anything out of me. Snake Eyes, keep an eye on this creep. Me and Scarlet need a quick conference in the aft cabin. He's right. We have no idea where we are, and we're flying blind in a storm with an uncooperative pilot. We've got to fly to a place we're sure of. Any place could be another Cobra front. Cobra officer is got a gun hidden in his helmet. Well, okay. And he's slowly maneuvering it out. And to his credit, gets the gun out, takes a shot at Snake Eyes in a very Greedo shoots first moment where I can't imagine anybody getting the drop on Snake Eyes to this degree. But he misses like a dummy. The bullet goes right in front of his face. Snake Eyes, of course, is like, hey, that's my reputation on the line. Just drills this guy. I mean, like, point blank, just cuts him down. Zap, can you take over the controls? I know just about enough to keep us flying level, but we sure won't know where we're going or where we've been for that matter. Not with the compass and navigation gear shot full of holes. Thanks, Snake Eyes. All we can do is follow the present course and ride out the storm. Hours later, hey, we're clear of the turbulence. There's open sky below us and a large city and seaport. Aim this crate out to the open sea and let's bail out. See that large open area with the parking lot? I see it too, Scarlet. Looks like a prime landing zone. They jump out with parachutes, and Scarlet comes down and lands butt first on the Incredible Hulk. Why the Hulk? What's going on here? Did Marsha Rosenberg book you for this opening too without telling me? Marsha Rosenberg that's actually like a little Easter egg because she was one of Marvel's booking agents during the 1980s.
Look at that.
They use her name for the Volcana, a kind of obscure Marvel villain. First seen in the Secret War series where Spider-Man gets his symbiote outfit.
Look at that.
Look over there.
Getting name dropped.
Look over there, Zap. And then there's a big sign that says, see the Hulk, grand opening at the Bayonne Mall. Excellent. When Marvel puts on a show, they really go all out. Shortly, it's a good thing that Marvel booking agent was nice enough to loan us bus fare back to Staten Island. Nice. Should have given us a bonus for sparking up the show. Next bus for Staten Island, living here at... Hey, no weirdos on my bus, as Snake Eyes approaches. The end. I want to take a quick step backwards and talk about Billy's motivations for staying behind in Springfield. Billy says, first of all, my family is here hiding underground and working against Cobra. Now, you have to kind of take this with a grain of salt because at this point, we didn't know that nobody knew, including Larry, that Billy would become like a key part of the G.I. Joe mythology. And that it would be revealed that he's Cobra Commander's son. So when Billy says his family, we have to assume either non-father relatives, or maybe even he means like brothers and sisters in the non-genetic sense. It's probably most likely to assume that he means his mother, who we will also meet later on in this run, and is not a military person. She's just a mom. She's not like some secret she's not the mominous, or she's not, overkill or metal. I can't think of a good mom pun that goes with G.I. Joe. Mommlehead. You got a good one? You got it. I'll take a bad one, actually. Anything to take the heat off.
I got nothing.
I can't either. There's got to be something that starts on the mom. I'll edit it in here later. Momstro Viper. Momstro Viper was the joke I was looking for. Yes, it's been 2 days later since we recorded this, and that's still the best I could come up with.
Hold it! You'll have to visit your family later! We've got an emergency!
Oh, but my mom is making gumbo.
All right, anyway. The other thing is, we don't know exactly why Billy is working against Cobra. If you woke up one day and you were like, oh, hey, my father is a leader of a huge terrorist organization, you think that just like the town had been indoctrinated, your son would also kind of be blind to the truth also. I would enjoy hearing the backstory of why Billy became like this freedom fighter, how he got in this situation to begin with, and we'll get a just a hint of that detail when his mom comes in the picture much later on. But for now, there are definitely a lot of unanswered questions, and is even more. It's a non-suspect statement until you look at it as a whole, and you're like, why is he here? So anyway, that's the end of issue number 10. A great issue with lots of great stuff. Everything that's in this issue has extremely long-reaching effects in the G.I. Joe mythos. Dr. Venom will be around. It is especially important in the short term. Billy will see him grow and become a completely different character as the issues progress. And the Brainwave Scanner, which literally pops up everywhere. It's in every issue. I could probably, without going back a full year in the comic that's being published now, can find a mention or instance of the Brainwave Scanner. It is used more now than ever, and is probably most famously known for being an integral part of the creation of Serpentor in this actual run. So what are your thoughts on this issue, Jared? I know I maybe have overhyped it a little bit, but I do think it's just a fantastic issue.
No, I mean, I really like it. I think it was really fun. It's kind of sad that it was the last hurrah of the original 13, and we didn't really get the full 13 hanging out and doing something. But I mean, it was a good issue. I like the Marvel references. That's fun. You definitely can't have full canon now. Then if they're depending on how it goes with Marvel, you'd have to get the rights just for this version of the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, right.
But no, I mean, it was good. I don't think you overhyped it. It was a good setup. I really liked the idea of Springfield and kind of having that background of like, hey, this is how they did this. This is, it's not like they just made a city. Like they just made one appear. Like they went in and just kind of slowly took over it. And I think that's a really cool idea.
Yeah, I agree. I like this issue a lot. Like I said, I do feel like this is like the first, there's like a pin dropping as you prepare for, essentially if you were breaking them into waves, this is where I would end the first wave, because in the next issue, everything starts to change. We have lots of new characters, and things start to get set off in a pretty serious way. Things start to change. So we don't have a comic book pack to talk about this time, because
how dare they?
Yeah,
how dare they?
They did pick this is an especially bad time to stop making them, because we simply did not get an original vintage Dr. Venom figure, which I think is an absolute travesty. A figure that I wanted to see forever in my youth. And it's almost unfair that the only Dr. Venom we ever got was part of the G.I. Joe Collectors Club exclusive. In 2010, they released a modern era Dr. Venom. They pulled the same trick they do in a lot of characters from this, where they have to put his full name on the card, which is ironic because Dr. Venom's full name had never been released. So they decided to name him Dr. Archibald, air quotes, Venom Monev, which is obviously just Venom spelled backwards. And also, I don't know if I was subconsciously using the name Archibald in the last issue to describe our British fellow, but I did propose that his real first name should be Archibald, and then here we are with an actual Archibald. Dr. Venom would have a flashback issue in the IDW run where they do go into his origin a little bit more, and so it doesn't really match up very consistently with what they've done here. But anyway, for the sake of this figure, they made a pretty straightforward version. Like most or all con figures, this is 90% reused stuff. Dr. Venom was created using the torso, waist, and arms of Cobra, like just generic Cobra Trooper version 2 from 2007, upper legs of Storm Shadow version 21 from 2007, lower legs and feet of Shipwreck version 13 from 2009, and then like almost every figure from FSS and Collectors Club, he has a new head, which is based off of the head of Liu Kang from 1994's Mortal Kombat line, which is really weird now that I look at it. But they're right, side by side, it does share a lot of comparisons. Most notably, there's like a little Superman hair curl coming down that carries over. And I think this is a good figure, honestly. This is not a hard figure to make. Dr. Venom is just a lab coat with a mean face. And they have certainly nailed that. Blue pants, white shirt. Not a big fan of the tie, which is like painted on and carries over to his lower torso. So if you move his upper torso, like to turn him, that tie won't move with him because it's not there. It's not connected in any way. But luckily the lab coat hides that part of it a little bit. This is a good figure, but again, it came with a box set that has like a man-eating plant. It was part of an adventure team set that they sold like figure and accessory together. There were 4 of them, and this was the villain. Very expensive. Was expensive before the market started to go crazy. I haven't looked at it in a long time, but I can only imagine what an unopened one to go for now.
You know, they really missed an opportunity here for a comic pack, because you could have had Billy, you could have had Venom, you could have had the street clothes of either of these guys, or you could have had a Hulk figure, and it would have worked.
So that brings us to the end of issue 10, and that also brings us to the end of our figure lookout, and that also brings us to the end of the original 13 adventures. There might be a few exceptions here and there, but like it'll be later on, it's kind of told as a flashback. So before we close out, I wanted to give everybody a little bit of a heads up that before we move on to issue 11, I wanted to do something. I wanted to veer off the course just a little bit, and I wanted to read something with Jaren that I feel like is tethered into this, and that is the G.I. Joe Declassified series that Larry wrote for Devil's Due Publishing in 2006. Now, you might be thinking, what possible book from Devil's Due could tether into what we're reading here? And this, if you've never read it before, the G.I. Joe Declassified series is the first and only story that actually involves Shooter. If you have forgotten Shooter, in our episode where we covered G.I. Joe number 1, we discussed that there's a small Easter egg on the computer that has the roster of the team, and there's somebody's face is being blocked by a hand, and underneath it there's a little title caption that says Shooter, which was a nod to Jim Shooter, the editor-in-chief at that time. Well, in 2006, Larry was hired to write a small 3-issue miniseries, and he decided that this miniseries would be the origin and also death of Shooter.
Oh my gosh, so we get origin and death?
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom.
It makes sense because obviously if Shooter had been around when the team was formed, why wasn't she on the team? So this story takes place before the team is formed, technically, but is the story of the 14th Joe. And if you're saying right now, well, that's not part of the original Marvel run, it's not canon, I will challenge you, because Shooter has been referenced in the IDW, a Real American Hero book. Larry has gone on public record saying that this story, as well as the Storm Shadow miniseries that he wrote for Devil's Due, is considered part of the active continuity of G.I. Joe, which of course is always changing anyway. You can't be like, Shooter's not in the book, so she's not an original member, and to which I would say, well, Sneak Peek died like 3 times and continues to come back from the dead. So let's not hold continuity too strict. But in my book, and also Shooter got a figure, so I feel like that even gives her more authenticity as a character. So we're gonna veer off the path for just a little bit. I want to cover this with Jaren because I do think it's an important story. It's also nice to it'll be interesting to read a story that does involve the kind of the formation of the original 13 and has a lot of references to the OG 13. Right as we are, coming to the end of their line. So if you're reading in advance, prepare yourself for those. If you don't own those issues or you've never read them before, they will, of course, be available on our YouTube channel like all of our issues are. And that's going to bring us to the end of another great issue. If you enjoyed this episode and you would like to hear more, then please like this video on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. You could leave our podcast a review if you listen only. Those are tremendously helpful. You can find us on social media at Anything Joe's Pod. That's on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You can find our YouTube channel just flat out Anything Joe's. Or you can send us an email at anythingjoespod@gmail.com. And we would love to hear from you. And that's going to bring us to the end of another episode of Anything Joe's. Thanks so much for listening, and we look forward to talking to you in just 2 short weeks, where anything's available for discussion here on Anything Joe's.